Lannister always pays his debts.
I think this is the part of your student loans that you forgot about. This is called the master promissory note. If you took out a loan, if you took out any loan, you had to sign a master promissory note. What is the master promissory note? The master promissory note is basically your pledge that you're going to repay this debt. Here's what happened. You were probably a C- or D- student or some shit in high school, and you saw this, and you were so anxious. You were like, yeah, give me the money. I need the money now. Give me the money. You were willing to sign anything. It's just like in those movies where the devil has a contract and he's like, yeah, if you sign this, I'll give you the women and the money and the gold and all that. And the person is so quick to sign on it that they're like, yeah, but you didn't read this part right here where it literally says, yeah, but your soul is mine now. But again, you were so desperate to get out of your parents' basement, your mommy's basement, your daddy's attic. You were so desperate to get away from home and to go to some bullshit party school where you were going to major in some worthless liberal arts degree like women's studies, underwater basket weaving, LGBT community history, or some nonsense that you couldn't get a job in. You were so desperate to get that money into your hands that you were willing to sign anything. And that's why you're in the shape that you're in now. That master promissory note, they got you on file. They got your parents on file having signed it. And now you think that the taxpayer is going to bail your ass out because you've put yourself into $130,000 worth of student loan debt on average, according to the very last study that I read? The answer is no. It's not going to happen. What is this? Information we report about your loan. We will report information about your loan to nationwide consumer reporting agencies. They're called credit bureaus. And the National Student Loan Data System, NSLDS. You were willing to sign anything. Am I the only person who read these promissory notes when I was sitting there in the financial aid office? Am I the only person who read this where it said, yeah, I'm going to pay back the principal and I'm going to pay back the interest? But I already see what's happening. First of all, you know what? A lot of y'all are busy talking smack about Brittany Griner getting herself locked up over there in Russia. But you know what? All of you, every single one of you who's in this situation now, you're nothing more than a bunch of Brittany Griners. You refuse to take responsibility. You put that weight around your neck. You signed that promissory note. You took out that money for that worthless liberal arts degree. The only people who I'm willing to basically say it's not your fault are the people who went to schools and institutions that themselves were absolute scams. Some of these schools popped up because the Federal Reserve was giving out cheap money and they borrowed money to start these bullshit institutions. And then the institutions themselves disappeared and went under. Those people, I can't really blame too much because it's not their fault that they went to a scam institution. But I'm talking about the rest of you. I'm talking about the rest of you who went to real institutions, accredited institutions. You borrowed money that you couldn't pay back. And now you think somebody's bailing you out? Well, let me just say this. Whether or not, because first of all, Biden is shaking in his boots right now. First of all, Biden already knows he's a one-term president. So at this point, he doesn't give a shit how much money he takes out or how much money he tries to get Congress to spend. He doesn't care. He's a one-term Jimmy Carter. That's what he is. He could care less how much debt he puts us in the future. He could care less how much inflation he costs us in the future. He could care less. He's a one-term Jimmy Carter-esque president. The Congress, most of these Democrats are about to lose their fucking jobs because the economy ain't shit under the Democrats. They're sanctions and their attempts to cancel Russia have failed. Their attempts to cancel China have failed. So they're all about to lose their jobs right now. They don't care how much money they spend. So the reality is there's a chance that they may pass this quote-unquote student loan forgiveness. But the sad thing is it's only to the tune of about $10,000. Meanwhile, studies have showed that the average one of you owes at least $40,000 in student loans. Now, the last study I just read showed that many millennials owe over $100,000 worth of student loans. None of that is household debt. None of that is related to a mortgage. None of that is related to a condo or anything like that. No. You owe that in student loans. You want me to tell you again how that happened? Well, you were a C- or D student. The college said, oh, well, do you have a pulse and a pencil? Come on in. Sign here on the dotted line. We'll get you those student loans. These colleges, let me tell you something. I've been railing against cryptocurrency for being a Ponzi scheme. But let me tell you something else that's a Ponzi scheme. These institutions of school are a Ponzi scheme. They're doing three major things. Number one, they're letting any and everybody in, which is weakening the actual value of these degrees because they're letting any and everybody in. They are driving up national debt by letting any and everybody in. Now, granted, there are some people who were fuck-ups in elementary school and then they were fuck-ups in high school, but then they say, you know what, I got my head on now. Let me get to work. And they're willing to study real hard and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is the vast majority of you ain't that. The vast majority of you are so desperate to get away from your mommy and your daddy and go to some campus that's a party school so you can be on campus drinking, smoking weed, and having unprotected sex. Y'all are so desperate that you will sign literally everything, including these promissory notes. And they got you on file. And they tell your credit bureau. You take responsibility for nothing. Not only that, the third thing that they're doing, the third thing these schools are doing, is they're wasting your time. If you're a woman, and I went through this on the last video I made, they are keeping these women in school for so long that by the time these women get out of school, they may have a PhD, but they're old. They can't get a good marriage. They can't even have children because they're so old. They're in their 40s. And geriatric pregnancy kills. It does. A lot of women die in pregnancy because they were old. They were not healthy, so forth and so on, for whatever reason. They're doing those three things I call it the school industrial complex. You remember how they warned us about the military industrial complex? Yeah, well, you got three military industrial complexes to be warned about. You got the school industrial complex, you got the military industrial complex, and you got the prison industrial complex. This country has basically decided that you're going to go into one of these three. Either you're going to be in a school and they're going to keep you in there. They're going to keep you out of the workforce so that you don't show them the real unemployment numbers. Keep you in school. As long as you keep going back and forth to that class, you're taking out debt, but you're not competing in the workforce. Or you're going to prison. You're not competing in the workforce because you're in prison. Or you're going to go to the military where you can literally be the health of the welfare state, protecting the borders and blah, blah, blah. Or not even protecting the borders. There ain't nobody trying to attack us right now. They send you to other countries so you can fuck with other countries. Maybe you'll get killed. Maybe you won't. But for the bottom line, you're being used to enforce the will of the oligarchs in this country. You got three industrial complexes to worry about. So the question is, which one of these three are you going to serve? I could add a fourth. I could add a consumer industrial complex. So either you're going to be part of the military industrial complex, the school industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, or you're going to be a consumer. The consumer industrial complex is why these student loan forgiveness plans, that's the reason why they're so desperate to get this done. And I said this a long time ago when I was making student loan videos. What it is that if you've got these student loans on your head, the banks ain't going to give you no loans. They're not going to give you no loan for no house. with these housing prices having been artificially inflated by the artificial inflation of the demand, thanks to all this welfare check and stimmy check printing. Well, the reality is you're going to have to borrow so much money that just like that house I showed you, the $750,000 for a house that's worth less than $200,000, well, you're going to have to borrow so much money, you're going to be in debt for the rest of your natural life. Think about that for a second. If you've got student loans, you can't borrow to buy a house. Many of you can't even afford a car because not only is it the car you got to pay for, it's the insurance. Some of you have parents who bought you your first car and pay your insurance too. I had to buy my first car. I had to buy my own first insurance. From the moment I started working back in 2006, 2007, I had to basically pay my way. And I had to balance these loans and balance these debts and pay them out of my own pocket. My parents didn't buy me my first car. I had to buy that shit myself. I had to do it on a 530 credit score. I had shitty interest rate. I had a 27% interest rate on my first car because I had a horrible credit score. Once I understood what I was up against, I was like, you know what? I'm going to beat this fucking system. Now I got an 850 across the board. I got fucking 850. Excellent. If it could have been 1,000, I'd have 1,000 right now. I can walk into one of these dealerships with no pants on and tell them, yeah, this is what it is. This is what I'm going to pay you. This is what I'm not going to pay you. I can walk into a dealer and raise my fucking voice. I'm not asking you for no fucking hand. I don't want your goddamn welfare. I hate welfare. If I could kill welfare tonight, I'd chop welfare's fucking head off. If I could. But y'all are drowning in welfare and you're voting for welfare. That's what pisses me off. That's what you're doing. You're voting for welfare. And don't think it's just the Democrats. No. You Republicans are doing that shit too. A lot of your states, y'all are voting for those oil subsidies and that welfare. Y'all are getting those welfare stimmy checks. It wasn't just New York and California that got them stimmy checks. If it was up to me, you never would have seen one. And then some of you gambled that shit in cryptocurrency. And you took them welfare checks, you ran over to Dodge Chrysler, bought yourself a Hellcat that you couldn't afford. You're probably giving it back today. I would have killed the welfare state 30 years ago. And it's funny because despite the fact that we've had Republican presidents, not a damn one of them stopped it. Not a damn one of them, because they knew that they'd end up being a one-term. Bush didn't stop it. Trump didn't stop it. Obama came in, spent more money. Biden came in, spent more money. Even under Trump spent more money. Bush spent more money. Bush handed out welfare checks. He called them stimulus checks, $600 checks. If it was me, I'd have killed the welfare. I'd have killed it dead. There'd be no WIC and all that bullshit. There'd be none of that. And I'd make prices return to natural supply and demand. But that's not what y'all want. Y'all want this welfare. And y'all are trying to vote for these welfare handouts. Congress is making their money. Congress got their health care, but you voting for welfare. That's all y'all voting for. And it shows. And that's where this story comes in with Biden and his nonsense about I'm going to forgive $10,000. Yeah, well, guess what? What about the other $30,000? Do you think forgiving $10,000 is going to make a difference? So here's the story. Student loan forgiveness. New Blockbuster plan to cancel student loans. All these Blockbuster, it's August 5th, 2022. All of these Blockbuster plans are coming out because the Democrats know that they're going to get wiped out this November. Now, there are some Democrats that may save their seats because there are a lot of women voting specifically about abortion. Specifically, I'm actually a little surprised that the Supreme Court didn't wait till after November elections to spring this shit on about abortion, because had they waited, they would have made sure that these Democrat voters, they wouldn't have gave a fuck, and they would have just let the Republicans wipe the Democrats out wholesale. So timing is everything. But anyway, the Democrats are going to basically probably lose the House and the Senate come November. And Biden, one-term president, at this point, he's willing to do just about anything to try to slow down the ass-kicking that the Democrats are going to get. But that's just what it is. It says Republicans have proposed. Now, the Republicans have proposed a blockbuster new plan for student loan forgiveness. Because the reality is, a lot of y'all try to talk about Republican, Democrat. The simple fact is, most of y'all are in debt regardless what party you affiliate with. Most of you are in debt, whether you choose to admit it or not. These Republican states, they're filled with people who went to colleges and took out loans just like everybody else is. It's just that the blue states have more of that debt. Here's what you need to know and what it means for your student loans. Student loans. President Joe Biden is days away from announcing his decision on broad student loan forgiveness. Before that happens, however, Republicans in Congress have introduced major legislation to change the future of student loans and student loan forgiveness. As first reported by Business Insider, I'm not even going to bother reading the names. You can read that yourself. Through Loan Real Reforms Act to offer an alternative proposal to Biden's student loan forgiveness. So the Republicans are offering a alternative. Okay. Specifically, this proposed legislation on student loan forgiveness would provide for the following, among other proposals. Okay. Existing student loan borrowers enrolled in an income-driven repayment plan would only have to pay their original student loan balance plus 10 years of student loan interest. 10 years of student loan interest, depending, because this is highly subjective. I had a dentist who took out $300,000 to get her dental degree. So her dental degree cost her more than my first house did. 10 years of that student loan interest, that's a lot. I mean, that. I could run the numbers on my loan calculator, but depending upon what the interest rate is, because there's a lot of unknowns here. Subjectively, that could be anything. You don't really know. It could be because some people, I mean, when you're talking about $300,000, but the average person's like more like $100,000, I'd have to run the numbers. But maybe let's say to be safe, let's say between $3,000 and $15,000, $3,000 to $15,000. It could be anywhere between. It says we're going to end the student loan payment pause. That's coming no matter what. And see, unfortunately for Biden, the student loan payment pause moratorium, that ends at the end of August. Right now, we are almost to August 10th, so time's running out. No wide-scale student loan forgiveness of any amount. The Republicans are never going to go ahead with this bullshit. They're just not going to do it. First of all, the responsible thing is not to do it, because if you do this, what it's going to do is, all it's going to do is clear these people up to make more debt. That's the problem. It's just like I've continued to say. As many videos as I've made about cleaning up your credit and having better credit, one thing I understand is the only reason why you're trying to do that is so you can take out more debt. You're not trying to fix your credit just to have fixed credit. You're trying to fix your credit so that you can take out bigger loans on bigger cars or bigger loans on bigger houses. That's the reality of the situation. Now, there's nothing wrong with you fixing your credit. You should have excellent credit, or you should have as good credit as possible. My problem is you're only doing it so that you can make it worse. That's a shame. So anyway, the Republicans are not going to do any wide-scale student loan forgiveness. All of these, and there's numbers of reasons why. First of all, their constituency doesn't want it. Their constituency does not want that because most of their constituency is older. And most of their constituency didn't go deep into student loan debt because back when they went to college was damn near free. I'm not talking about these big-name private institutions. I'm talking about the community colleges and the state colleges. Most of them were damn near free. Some of these people went to school on GI Bills. Create a new single income-driven repayment plan similar to income-based repayment. So basically, this is their thing. They want to go after income-based repayment. They want to based on your income. So guess what? If you're not making a lot of money, if you're only making $30,000, your student loans are going to be with you for the rest of your freaking natural life. Chances are, if you're the one whining and crying about student loan repayment, chances are it's already eaten into your credit score and it's already eating into your savings. Because from what I know, some states allow you to be garnished if you don't make these payments back. Eliminate loan forgiveness through the income-driven repayment plans. End grad plus student loans, which would limit how much graduate student loan borrowers could borrow. You know why that's important? And I'm looking at my ex. My ex is 43 years old, living in her daddy's attic, and right now, childless, unmarried, single, and trying to get a goddamn PhD. These grads. So just think about that for a second. You're 44. You're damn near 45. You've passed middle age. You're not 40. You're damn near 45 years old. You're going towards 45. And you living in your daddy's attic. Your mommy and daddy still live in the house. Now you living with you. Let me tell you something about eagles. When the eagles have eggs and they lay their eggs, before they lay their eggs, they make a nice soft nest. They go out and they find the softest materials they can find. They got fur from dead animals. They've got feathers. They've got the softest materials they can put in their nest, right? That's what the birds do. So this way, when they lay their eggs have soft materials, right? Just like when we do it for babies too, right? When those eaglets hatch, the eagles go out, they feed those eaglets, and they make sure they go kill the animals, bring them back, they feed them pieces of the animals, and so forth and so on. But when those eaglets start to get bigger, those parent eagles, they look at each other and they're like, yeah, we got to get these motherfuckers out of this nest because they can't stay here. They got to go out there and they got to become eagles. They can't stay up in this fucking nest till they're 35 playing PlayStation 5. Those eagles, they look at each other and they're like, yeah, you can't stay up in this nest talking on the phone and watching television, watching Real Housewives of Atlanta and basketball, Love Diaries and all that bullshit, TV. Those eagles look at themselves and they're like, yeah, you know what? We can't let you stay up in here playing NBA Jam and watching WNBA and watching golf and tennis and all that shit. No. You got to get up out this nest. So what do the eagles do? Well, the eagles start pulling the soft, beautiful cotton down, these feathers. They start pulling all that soft stuff out the nest, right? So what you're left with these sharp, spiky pieces of twig. And they stick them eaglets right up in the ass. And the eaglet's like, God damn, this hurts. I got to get up out of here. I got to get a job. I got to go be an eagle. Them eagles don't let you stay up in that house till you 40 years old. Them eagles don't let you stay up in that house till you in your 30s. The eagles also stop feeding you. So where they used to go out, they used to kill mice and shit and bring the mice pieces back. And the eagle would chew up the mouse pieces and then spit it into your mouth and regurgitate that into your stomach and everything. Because birds are some nasty motherfuckers. But this is real. You can look this up. It's true. So the eagles stop feeding the eaglets. They make the nest uncomfortable. They're like, nah, listen, we love you, eaglet, but you got to get the fuck up out of here because you damn near 50 years old. You're not going to be living up in this house till you're 50. You need to go out there and accomplish something. So imagine you got a girlfriend and she damn near 45 living in daddy's attic. No children, not married, single, aging, working on a goddamn PhD degree. That's hilarious. I got a cousin, same shit. I got a cousin, same age as me, 40 years old. No children, single, unmarried. The one child I believe that she might have had, she aborted, according to the rumors that I heard, that was started by her. I'm not going to name names. 40, going towards 41, living with her parents. Think about that. So I want you to understand the logic. Because, see, this is what I pay very close attention. You know, I watch that international news. I pay very close attention to domestic politics. I don't know shit about football, NBA, WNBA. I can't name anybody. But when you start talking about domestic politics, oh yeah, that's when I come alive. You know how those people always try to make fun of you? They're like, oh yeah, you must be a lot of fun at parties. Yeah, well, I'm no fun at parties. Now, if you want to talk politics at a party, oh yeah, I'm ready. The reason why they want to end these grad loans, when I was getting my grad school degree, it was like $450 per credit or something like that. Yeah. It was about $400 to $450 a credit, depending upon which stage of the grad school you're in. When I graduated with my second master's degree, it cost me $18,000 out of pocket. I paid it as I went along. Now, the problem is, most of y'all ain't going to pay those loans out of cash. Now, had I held on to the cash, that would have been an extra $18,000, possibly $20,000 I would have had in my pocket. But what I did was I was like, no, I don't want no loan. I'm going to take cash that I'm making while I'm working, and I'm going to pay for this second master's degree. The reason why they're ending these grad loans is because you've got people who do the exact opposite of what I did because they don't care about the interest. They don't care when they sign the promissory note that the interest is going to choke them like a weed. They don't care. So they'll keep that $18,000 in their pocket and they'll borrow $18,000. But here's the problem. If you're borrowing $18,000 on a 6 point whatever percent interest, because the federal government told me my interest for my loans was going to be 6.85%. So I was like, fuck that. I'm going to pay this shit as quickly as I possibly can. So I made something. No, I was like, I ain't borrowing shit. I ain't borrowing nothing. Whatever loan I get, I'm paying it cash as I go. So when you're talking about $400 a credit, easily adds up to $18,000 when you're talking about 36 credits. Easily. Plus student fees, plus books, plus the tests that you had to take. I took the test. I passed them. Took the test. First try. Sat down, took the test, passed them. A lot of people, they take these tests, fail them shits. Now, you're talking about $500 per test. Fail that shit. It used to be cheaper. From what I remember, the test used to be like $110, and they went up to $175. But now, some of these tests are $500 a pop. Pass or fail. I took that shit, passed this shit on first try. There were 2 tests. Passed them on the first try. So, as you can see, I'm not joking. When I say this shit, I'm not fucking joking. I mean it. I mean it with a passion. So these grad loans, the reason why they're ending these grad loans is because they don't want you to become a career student. I feel like Michael Douglas when he's yelling at Teldar Papers as Gordon Gekko. They're not going to let you be a career student anymore. They're not going to let you be a 40-year-old chasing a PhD. My mom is retired. My mom is in her 60s. My mom decided right before COVID she wanted to get a PhD. Now, why you'd be retired and chasing a degree, I fucking don't know. Let me tell you something. When I retire, you go, and I said this before, and words have power. I'm going to be sitting on a beach in some country, the Philippines, maybe even Bora Bora, who knows? I'm not going to be doing a motherfucking thing except sitting on a beach, sipping that buko juice. I'm going to have a young islander girlfriend, wife, or whatever. If I marry her as a wife, if I don't, it's a girlfriend. And she's going to be serving me the buko juice. You hear me? You feel that? The buko juice. If you're Filipino, you know what I'm talking about. That buko juice. If it's not buko juice, it'll be coconut water. If it's not coconut water, it'll be, I don't know, what else they got? Coconut milk. What else they got? Tahitian sunrises. I don't know. I don't know the names of these drinks no more because they keep coming up with new shit. Bottom line is, you think I'm going to die in somebody's fucking school? Fuck that. I'm going to be on a beach doing nothing at all. Rotting. And I'll tell you, if I could quit life right now and I still needed a hobby, you know what I'd be doing for a living? there's three possibilities. Either I would just be a recreational pilot, but the problem with that is it doesn't pay you any money unless you're flying supplies back and forth or something. I don't know if I'd want to do that because that's a job. The other thing I could do, I would be a car salesman or I'd be a computer salesman. That's all I would do. That's it. I'd either be a car salesman, a computer salesman, or a pilot. And that's it. I wouldn't do shit else. But I damn sure ain't going to die in somebody's school chasing no freaking degree. There's a term that they had come up with years ago called career students. There are people simply to keep their student loans in deferment. They stay in school till they damn near 90 years old. They will run up $1 million in student loans. They don't care because it's, number one, it's being deferred. And number two, shit, I ain't got the money. I guess I ain't going to pay it back anyway. And now I'm almost dead. So when they come up with these things, I want you to understand the reason why they come up with these things where they say stuff like this. Because the problem is y'all don't pay attention to the details. They always said devil's in the details. I read this shit. I didn't just sign the promissory note. I read it. Y'all ain't trying to hear this. I know this video is probably not even going to get 1,000 views. If I'm on the road driving a car yelling at Toyota Camrys, that video gets 3,000 or 4,000 views. Y'all ain't going to read this shit. Y'all ain't going to listen to this shit. But whatever. I'm saying it anyway. I don't care. So anyway, encapitalization of student loan interest, which is the addition of accrued student loan interest to your student loan balance. Well, guess what? The banks ain't going to loan you money unless they're going to make money off the money. Now, the government told me that if I got the loan from them, I'm showing you the zero balance letter. They told me the interest was 6.85%. Navient had me down for like 4.7 something percent, probably 4.75. If memory serves, it was less than 5% from what I remember. I could be wrong, but it was about 4.75. As soon as I saw those numbers, I ran my loan calculator. I was like, I'm fucking not going to pay this over this period of time. I paid off my loans back in 2000. By 2014, 2015, my loans were paid because I was like, I'm not going to get stuck in this shit. Prevent the U.S. Department of Education from using the negotiated rulemaking process to issue regulations that are economically significant, such as more than $100 million, including wide-scale student loan forgiveness. So basically what the Republicans said is Biden is simply trying to cancel enough debt to get enough of these Democrats to show up to the polls. We're not going to let that happen. If I read through this entire thing, that's basically what they said. Biden is trying to cancel enough debt to get Democrats to show up to the polls, hoping to get more debt canceled. We're not going to let that happen. That's their job. And I agree with them. They shouldn't. Y'all are still, this is what kills me. Y'all are feeling the effects of the stimulus checks inflating the money right now. And what are y'all trying to do? You're trying to print more stimulus checks in the form of student loan forgiveness. That's why you don't want to hear what I'm saying, because I'm telling it to you. You don't want to hear it. So you're not going to hear it. But that's not a big deal. I'm not worried about it, because while I'm sitting under my ceiling fan in my house, y'all are wondering why the price of houses is so high that you can't afford a house. While I'm driving 110 miles an hour in my Jeep SRT, y'all are wondering why it is that the car prices are so high that you can't get one. You can't afford an $85,000 truck. But y'all want more stimulus checks. You got them before. You put them into Coinbase and Robinhood thinking that y'all going to be billionaires by now. Yeah. If I buy this Shiba Inu, if I buy this Dogecoin, yeah, if I buy these Bitcoins, if I buy this Ethereum, come summer 2022, I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to the moon. That's what you thought. That's what they told you. Are you on the moon yet? Are you a billionaire yet? Are you on your Shiba Inu yacht party yet? Did you get your Bitcoin Lamborghini? Vroom, vroom. Did you get your Lamborghini yet? Did you get your Bitcoin Bugatti yet? I don't think you did. I don't think you did. I think what you did was you gave money to the initial investors in the Ponzi scheme. They cashed out your money and they disappeared. Some of them are in Dubai, some of them in Puerto Rico, some of them in Canada. You don't even know who's got that money because that money, as long as that money stays in Coinbase and Robinhood, nobody knows. They're out there somewhere. Some of these guys, they got some videos on YouTube of a couple of people who, got in early. You weren't one of them, though. And now you're trying to do it again. Now you're trying. And see, by the way, I've pointed to the stock market. I've pointed to the crypto market. The reason why those markets are down so low is because ain't nobody got no money to put in them right now. The average American homeowner, the average American renter, the average American parent, right now, you're getting your asses kicked by gas prices. You're getting your asses kicked by food prices. Now that you can find baby food again, baby food is more expensive. If you try to buy an economy car, you're still paying between $5,000 and $10,000 more than the car's worth. Simply because the dealer said you're going to pay it. And the dealer will say, well, guess what? You see this Acura MDX that I got? If you don't buy it from me right now and pay me $4,000 or $5,000 more for it, I've got another person who's going to pay the money and you're just going to go without. This is a true story. For those of you who watch my channel, you know who I'm talking about. I've even had that discussion with that person specifically. I was like, yeah, they got you for $4,000 or $5,000 over sticker. I refuse to pay over sticker for anything. It's just like when I go to Cadillac. Cadillac already promised me that when my Lyric all-wheel drive is made, I'm not going to pay over sticker for it. If they start some shit and they try to say, yo, you're going to pay over sticker, there's two things I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them, first of all, I was promised that I wasn't going to pay over sticker. So I want you to know that I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to make a video about y'all telling me I wasn't going to pay over sticker and then charging me over sticker. That's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get up, leave this table, and I'm not coming back. Now, I don't think they're going to do that to me because I bought like 4 cars from them, so I don't think they're going to do that. I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that. But let them try to start some shit with me. See, I'm not a wage slave. I'm not a debt slave. I'm not the 550 credit score, the FICO score 550. That's not me. I don't show up to work knowing that if I don't work, I can't pay my student loans. That's not me. I'm the loudest motherfucker that you're going to have to deal with. God forbid you show me numbers I don't like. Because I get loud real quick. For people who know me, they know it's true. So this bullshit about just forgiving loans and stuff, I'm not for it at all. You signed the promissory note, you owe the money. You took out money haphazardly, not caring, you owe the money. Again, for the people who went to institutions that were absolute bullshit Ponzi schemes, I can kind of see them forgiving that. First of all, any institution that did that and they tricked people, first of all, the people who were the heads of those institutions should be investigated. The ones who knowingly did this should be in jail in the booty house. And any money that they made should be stripped from them, just like what they did to Bernie Madoff. And that money doled back to the people for the forgiveness of the loans that they incurred. But the government's not going to do that. And the reason why is because the government itself is complicit. The reason why student loans got this out of hand is because had the government not entered student loans, you wouldn't be having the problems that you're having. But once they got into student loans and once they started promising that they would insure student loans, that's where it went wrong. And if that sounds familiar, it's because that's exactly what went wrong with the housing market. The housing market, they used to call people's jobs and make sure that they had jobs and make sure that their income was verified. Government put a stop to that under the George W. Bush administration. And I'm going to end with this because the thing about it is conspiracy theories, at this point, I don't even think they're conspiracy theories anymore. I think this is fucking truth. During the run-up of the subprime crisis in 2008, they did what was called ninja loans. No income, no job, no assets, no verifications, basically. And they were giving loans out to anybody. I'm seeing the exact same things happening now. The same run-up to 2008, I'm seeing it all happen again. When I was in college in 2005, it was real easy for me to get credit cards. Now, I'm seeing that, once again, not only is it easy to get credit cards, but on top of that, it's easy to get increases in your credit, whether you need it or not. Keep in mind that the government taxes property, and they also tax real estate based on its value, right? So if you have a neighborhood that's really exclusive, obviously the tax is going to be higher. With the values of these houses being artificially inflated, let's just think about that for a second. What does that do? That makes sure that the price of this place is more expensive, and the taxes for this place are more expensive. Is it possible that the reason why they're allowing these costs to go sky high for these properties is that what they're trying to do is make sure that people do have lots of equity so that now they can offer you home equity lines of credit? I want you to think back. You've been on YouTube, you've been on the internet. How many home equity lines of credit advertisement have you seen lately? I'm seeing them every day. Is it possible that just like the run-up to the 2008 crisis, is it possible that what they're trying to do is offer out as much debt and as much loan and as much credit as possible because they're trying to reinflate a bubble that the Federal Reserve may have pricked when they started raising interest rates? What people don't seem to understand is high interest rates are good for the economy because when people borrow at high interest rates, they are more careful about what they borrow. When people borrow at low interest rates, they are less careful of what they borrow. That causes higher demand. That causes lower supply. Is it possible that the reason why they're allowing these home values to escalate is because they're trying to drive up equity in homes in order to get more people to borrow more money? You think about that for a second. So I'm basically done. I could talk about this shit for years. I could go on and on and on and on because I can see the bullshit play. I could see the scam. I could see the Ponzi. I could see it. But fortunately, I got mine. I got my houses. I got my cars. I got my credit. So for the rest of you, all I can say is good luck. I've done this before, but now I'm going to show you once again. This is what I'm proud of right here. Now, you know how most people, they take their degrees and they actually put their degrees on the wall and everything? Well, I don't have my degrees on the wall. I have my payoff letters on the wall. Congratulations on paying off your student loans. In today's world, this is from Navian, by the way. In today's world, it's not always easy to manage debt, use credit wisely, and keep up with the demands of your career and personal life. But you've done it, and we applaud your success. Spread the word. Would you be willing to share your success story with borrowers who are currently repaying their student loans? Your story could be featured on our website and help inspire others on the journey to financial success. Click here to answer 3. Now, basically, this is a screen cap of the page that Navient Customer Service sent me when I made the last payment on my student loans. Now, this is dated December 2014, right? So that's my Navient payoff letter, because Navient used to be like Sally Mae, and then they spun off part of the loans and they called the shit Navient. And that's my student loan payoff letter from Navient. And because I guess the way it looked, I was like really proud of it. So what I did was I framed this shit. I actually put it on a frame and framed it. Then the other thing that I framed was my credit score. Because, I mean, when I first got an 850, I was like, yeah, I did it. I beat the system. Fuck the system. And this is August 5th, 2020. So I framed this shit too. I got these nice, big, beautiful gold frames and everything. So that was the other one. And then this was my Fed loan, which was separate from Navient. And I paid off my student loans in 2015. So basically 2014, 2015, that last big chunk of payment, $2,413.23. Total loan balance, $0. So I've been paid off since 2015. So when I hear these people right now talking about people who've put themselves deep in student loan debt, knowing what I've done, the question that I have to ask myself is, if I can do it, why can't you? If I signed a promissory note that said that when I borrow money from you, I'm going to pay it back, why can't you? They didn't change the interest on me that they had on you. So what are you doing differently than me that makes it so that the taxpayer would possibly have to subsidize you when I borrowed money and I paid the shit back like I promised I would? Do you understand what the word mortgage means? A student loan is a mortgage. A car loan is a mortgage. All loans are mortgages. In French, a mortgage means death pledge. It means that I pledge my life. Give me the money and I pledge my life to pay it back. That's what it means. So if I paid back, $18,000 in cash for my second master's, I paid back 5 years, which was like $55,000 worth of loans for my first mortgage, and my bachelor's degree cost me close to $25,000, and I paid back all of those loans. What are you doing that makes it so that the taxpayer has to subsidize you and you can't pay back loans that you promised that you'd pay back?
You promised me a lordship and a castle and a high-born beauty for a wife.
And you'll get all three. A Lannister always
Don't
pays...
say it. Don't fucking say it.